Today, Nike, Nike, Nike. Oh my God.
Did you see what Nike just did? They managed to pull off the biggest fumble in sports marketing history. And it's not even on the field. It all started with Caitlin Clark's Super Bowl commercial, you know, the one that had everyone buzzing about her becoming the new face of Nike. But here's where it gets crazy. The very next day, Nike drops another ad. And guess who's completely missing Caitlin Clark? That's right, they erased her like she never existed. Can you believe it? The internet exploded, and now Nike's scrambling to fix their mess, but wait till you hear how they tried to cover it up.
Folks, sometimes it's just unbelievable. It's I don't even know. I'm speechless. I am speechless with what has been thrown across my desk this morning.
All right, let's talk about what happened right after Caitlin Clark's big Super Bowl moment. You won't believe the roller coaster ride that followed. So picture this: Nike drops this incredible commercial during the Super Bowl, and everyone's buzzing about Clark. She's looking like the next big thing, the new face of the brand. Fans are hyped, athletes are excited, and even Travis Kelce is shouting her out.
Like Nike is definitely in hot water over the Caitlin Clark commercial that appeared a day after the Super Bowl. Now, we all know Caitlin Clark had that big-time commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. Even Travis Kelce reacted to the first one.
It's a dream come true, right? But hold on, because things are about to take a wild turn. The very next day, Nike releases another ad. You'd expect them to keep riding that Caitlin Clark wave, wouldn't you? Well, guess what? They didn't just miss the wave. They pretended the ocean didn't even exist.
In typical Caitlin Clark fashion, Caitlin Clark's Voldemort. They can't say Voldemort's name. Cheryl Swoops can't say Caitlin Clark's name.
That's right. In their follow-up ad, Nike completely erased Caitlin Clark. It's like she vanished into thin air. Can you imagine the shock? We're talking about the hottest name in women's basketball right now, and Nike just acted like she wasn't even there. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, Caitlin Clark had her Nike commercial. And, well, she didn't have her Nike commercial. She had one Nike commercial, and then the other one, they went out of her way not to talk about her. They did. They went out of their way to not talk about Caitlin.
Now, you might be thinking maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe they forgot to include her. But here's where it gets really interesting. Every single other athlete from that first commercial got a shout-out in the new ad, every single one. Except Clark. It's like they played a game of one of these things is not like the others and decided Clark was the odd one out.
Like, they had a commercial they released where they mentioned Juju Watkins, they mentioned Sabrina, they mentioned all the athletes that were on the t-shirt other than Caitlin Clark and Paige Becker.
Fans started noticing, and let me tell you, the internet exploded. People were not happy. They took to social media, and the comments were brutal. One fan wrote, "You make an ad, and you mention everyone except Caitlin Clark. She is the reason for all of the hype." Another one didn't hold back, saying, "You guys are a bunch of clowns. Nike, why wasn't Caitlin Clark's name said?"
Now, there was a second one that came out the very next day, kind of hyping up these Nike signature t-shirts that was going to be coming out with all of the women from the first commercial. Well, I'm here to tell you, they hyped up everybody except for Kate.
It wasn't just regular fans, either industry experts were scratching their heads wondering how Nike could drop the ball so hard. They were saying Clark is the most marketable and recognizable athlete in women's sports right now. Talk about a missed opportunity.
Everybody was reporting on it because I was stunned, man. Nike show love in that first commercial. Pretty much had the commercial kind of centered around Caitlin. Looked like Caitlin was about to become like the face of Nike. And then the very next day, they dropped the bombshell on us that, you know what? We're not even finna mention Caitlin Clark.
Name you know it's bad when even the experts are calling you out. They were basically saying, "Hey, Nike, you had gold in your hands." And you just tossed it away like it was nothing. It's like Nike forgot the golden rule of marketing. When you have a star, you let them shine.
Somebody said, so you make an ad and you mention everyone except Caitlin Clark. She is the reason for all of the hype. Show the respect she deserves. Can't wait for CC to go to another brand that will respect her. Your history is bookmarked.
But trust me, this fumble is just the beginning of Nike's epic fail. They're about to turn this marketing mishap into a full-blown Disaster, you won't believe what they do next in their desperate attempt to fix things.
Put a commercial out, and if you guys did not hear, they released a quote-unquote director's cut. And by the way, this is my favorite thing of all.
So Nike's in full panic mode, right? And you won't believe what they did to try and fix this mess instead of owning up to their mistake. Like a professional company, should they decided to pull off the most ridiculous cover-up ever. It's like watching the magician try to stuff a rabbit back into a hat. But the rabbit's already hopped off stage.
Ego. They say, hey, Ego, can you just send us a couple lines? Can you just send us a couple lines? Voicemail, email, voice note, memo note, whatever the case may be. Just send us a couple lines and we'll throw the voiceover in of you saying Caitlin Clark, and everybody will be happy, right? Everybody will be happy, right?
Get this, they took the original ad and slapped on a voiceover mentioning Caitlin Clark. But here's where it gets really embarrassing. They didn't even try to make it look natural. We're talking about a voice that doesn't match the speaker lips at all. It's like watching one of those old kung fu movies where the English dubbing is so bad you can't help but laugh.
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody cheered because we had a little Caitlin Clark cameo on a commercial, so this should be enough. So this is what they ended up doing with Caitlin Clark.
You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee.
Okay.
Nike.com.
You know how in those movies a character's mouth keeps moving long after the word stop? That's exactly what happened here. The voiceover awkwardly shoved in the phrase Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a team, okay, Nike. Com, can you imagine sitting in that editing room? Someone must have thought, yeah, this will fool them.
Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee. Nike. I was born that night. I was. I woke up today. I saw this. I checked my birth certificate just to make sure. Yeah, I was born at night. Not last night, Nike. Not last night.
But guess what? It didn't fool anyone. Fans saw right through it, immediately pointing out how awkward and forced it sounded. You've got comments flooding in like, did they make her send a voicemail with the Caitlin Clark Part 1 mean? Can you blame them? It's like Nike thought they could fix a broken vase with Scotch tape and no one would notice.
Ridiculous is this? How ridiculous is this, folks? They had her send in a voice memo. They had her watch this.
You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee.
Okay.
Nike.com.
This is ridiculous.
Now, you might be thinking, surely it wasn't that bad, righto? But it was people started calling it the director's cut. But let's be real, it was more like a desperate cut. It's just like Nike was that kid in school who forgot their homework and tried to scribble something down during lunch. Except in this case, lunch is a multi-million-dollar ad campaign, and the homework is respecting one of the biggest names in women's basketball.
They voice over it.
Selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark.
She's not.
I know you want a tee.
Okay.
She's not even talking. Like she's silent, and two, it's a voiceover.
Selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee.
Okay.
So someone edited that in post-production.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about a bad edit job. This is about a major company fumbling their crisis management so badly, it's almost impressive. Think about it. They had a chance to own up to their mistake, to say, hey, we messed up, and we sorry. Instead, they went for the corporate equivalent of the dog ate my home.
They put a voiceover. They made her send him through voicemail with the Caitlin Clark parts to appease us. Like, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
Now, you might be wondering, what were the marketing experts saying about this? Well, they weren't pulling any punches. They pointed out that Nike's response was a major misstep in crisis management. It's like Rule 101 of PR. When you make a mistake, own it. Don't try to cover it up with a voiceover that sounds like it was recorded in someone's basement.
Freaking Ego's over here walking in the middle of New York City sending a voice note. Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year. I know you want a tee. Oh man, this is disastrous. This is disastrous again.
Can you believe we're talking about Nike here? This is a company that's given us some of the most iconic ads in sports history. Just do it ring any bells? Well, this time it was more like just don't. They took a simple mistake and turned it into a full-blown disaster. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, but the train is made of sneakers, and the track is Caitlin Clark's career.
Folks, we have footage of her saying nearly every word in the other commercial. Yet in this commercial, we just have her going, you can't make this up. The WNBA writes themselves. The WNBA nonsense writes itself. Nike writes itself. These people just can't get out of its own way. It's funny to watch.
So, what's next for Caitlin Clark and Nike after this marketing disaster? That's the million-dollar question. Isn't it, will Clark stick around with a brand that seems to value her about as much as a forgotten umbrella? Or will she decide it's time to lace up with a company that knows how to spell her name without a last-minute voiceover?
They went in the lab and they redid this commercial. They definitely redid it, did a voiceover on it. They had to fix it, dog. They definitely had to fix it.
Nike's blunder didn't just slip by unnoticed. It set off an internet firestorm that would make even the toughest executives break out in a cold sweat. We're talking about a full-on social media meltdown with fans and critics alike ready to give Nike a piece of their mind.
Name. So, of course, there's the backlash. Like, oh man, Nike, here we go again. You guys just can't get out of your own way.
You might be thinking, how bad could it really be? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine scrolling through your feed and seeing tweet after tweet calling out Nike. One fan didn't hold back, saying you guys are a bunch of clowns, not in why wasn't Caitlin Clark's name said. And that was just the beginning. The frustration was palpable, with supporters feeling like Nike had just disrespected their new basketball queen.
At the end of the day, Nike is Nike, folks. Nike is Nike. Oh, but they put a poster in Angel Reese territory. Angel Reese isn't a Nike athlete. This would mean a little bit something if it was a Nike athlete running down on a Nike athlete in her own territory. Then we got something. This is Nike claiming real estate that they've already claimed. Who else would they be putting on this poster? Asia Wilson?
But it wasn't just everyday fans getting fired up. Content creators pounced on this story faster than a fast break. You had YouTubers breaking down Nike's massive mistake, framed by painful frame. One creator even went as far as to say, Nike, you'll never beat these accusations, suggesting Clark should ditch the brand altogether. Can you believe it? The very company that was supposed to elevate Clark's image was now being told to let her go.
Yeah, it is. It's just so funny. Nike's just fumbling of Caitlin Clark. Like, this wouldn't, by the way, like, I wouldn't be complaining that much about this if it wasn't for the fact that, like, Nike are out there basically saying that one of the big reasons why they're failing is because of a lack of their signature.
Now, you might be wondering, what about the experts? Surely they had something to say about this mess. Oh, they had plenty to say. All right, sports analysts were just as baffled as the rest of us picture the seasoned commentators who've seen it all in the world of sports marketing, shaking their heads and disbelief. One of them even said Nike just can't get out of their own way. It's like watching a star player miss a wide-open layup you just can't believe. What you're seeing.
Because of a lack of their signature line, they are failing. Like, LeBron's aren't selling as much. All of these, like, signature lines are not selling enough. And you've got one signature line that you know for a fact is going to sell a absolute shitload, and you don't have it. But when Nike just keep doing with Caitlin Clark, it just doesn't stop. Like, they're fumbling it so badly. Like I think there is a huge regret. Again, the only positive is they're releasing the Caitlin Clark P's, the Indiana Fever Kobe 5s.